Hi guys, it's Brooke with Color Me Worthy. As you probably know, this week is Mental Health Awareness Week, and you've probably seen a lot of the videos being posted on our page about people's experiences with mental illness and addiction. And today's my day. Here I am. Some of you know my story, most of you don't. But my story is actually the reason why Color Me Worthy was created. It was my experiences going through mental illness and addiction, and my mom's experiences being a loved one going through that stuff with me that kind of pushed us to create this foundation to try to create some change and help other people who might be going through the same thing. I have struggled with mental illness pretty much my whole life. I remember first feeling depressed at about 7 years old. I was self-harming at 8 years old, and it just kind of got worse as I got older. I was diagnosed with an eating disorder when I was 12, and going through junior high, I was bullied pretty severely and often, and that was hard. It was really, really hard. It got to the point where people were telling me to go kill myself, and so all of my other mental health issues being jumbled up with the bullying, it just made everything so much worse for me. And when I was in 9th grade, I attempted suicide for the first time, which brought me to the hospital where I spent 2 months of my life. When I got out of that hospital, I thought everything was just going to be amazing. I thought all of my problems had ended, and junior high was over. I was going into a high school where nobody I knew was going to attend. So I went into high school with this idea that all my problems were over. But that was not the case. High school came around, and I made friends with a lot of people who were in the same position as me in terms of hurting a lot emotionally and just wanting to escape that with drugs and alcohol. And so throughout all of this, I was still trying to cope with my mental illness, or illnesses, but then the drugs and the alcohol just added on, made everything so much harder to cope with. I started drinking at a very, very young age. I started doing drugs when I was 12. I was already doing opiates in junior high school, and then when I got to high school, it just turned into a whole other beast. I was doing cocaine and methamphetamines, ecstasy, MDMA, all of the party drugs and the stimulants. That was what I leaned towards in high school, because I loved how it made me feel so much more capable and confident, and nothing could get me down. Because of that, I started hanging out with really dangerous people, started putting myself in really dangerous situations, and over time, I got involved in a lot of crime. I'm very, very fortunate that I never got caught, but I was putting myself in a lot of situations where it came really close. I had a car when I was 16, and I think by the time I was 17, I totaled it in an accident where I was driving under the influence, and I'm really lucky that I didn't end up hurting someone that night or hurting myself. Because I do not remember the entire car ride. All I remember was smacking into the back of some guy's truck and calling my parents crying. And it's scary to think there are whole parts of my life that are just blank in my mind. I can't remember them because I was so intoxicated all the time. And a lot of people will the people who are judgmental about addiction will hear this part of my story and be like, oh, well, you were just a delinquent, or some dumb rebellious teenager or whatever. But the truth is, I was in a lot of pain, and growing up, I was never taught how to cope with my emotions. which meant that I resorted to self-destructive behaviors to try to, like, deal with my feelings, or, like, rather not deal with them. I found it a lot easier to just check out and numb myself out than to just, like, admit that I was hurting and that I needed help. So yeah, I mean, it was quite a journey. I have been through, like, I think 4 different treatment centers, probably 6 detox centers, hospitals, outpatient treatment programs. I've been through, like, so many different counseling programs and counselors, psychologists, psychiatrists, and support groups, just, like, all of it. And I just never understood why it wasn't helping until I finally went to my last treatment center, which was a trauma-based treatment center. So that program was all about like, digging down to the root of the trauma and really, like, talking about it and healing from it. And that was when I realized that, like, in order to heal in any way, you have to allow yourself to actually feel the emotions that caused the pain in the first place. And it's the hardest thing I've ever done. Yeah, it was the hardest thing I've ever done, to have to confront my deepest traumas, my deepest pains. I cried a lot. I screamed. I threw pillows at walls and windows. But, like, I'm so grateful to the psychologist that helped me with that, because he made me feel safe enough to actually explore all of those memories. And yeah, like, there's still a lot of stuff that I have to deal with and kind of sift through today, things that I still haven't really, like, gotten through, like, completely in terms of my trauma history, but I'm still working my way through it. And, like, I'm just so grateful for all of the support that I have in my life, because I truly think that having a support system is one of the main reasons why I'm still sober today. I think it's so important to have people around you who genuinely care about you, care about your well-being, and care about whether or not you wake up tomorrow morning. And yeah, I'm so grateful to have people like that in my life. And I mean, even though I'm an advocate for mental health and addiction services, like, I am still not cured or recovered or whatever you want to call it. Like, I still have days where I wake up and don't want to get out of bed. I still have days where I'm too anxious to make a phone call. I still experience issues with my eating disorder, and my PTSD. I still have flashbacks, and, you know, like, those are things that I'm going to have to continue to learn how to cope with, but I can say it has gotten easier. And so I'm just so grateful that I never gave up. Like, I always tell people, I could say with 100% certainty that I should not be alive today, and I am, and I think that's an absolute miracle. So I'm going to take this life and use it to help other people and make the most changes I possibly can in this world, just in the hopes that someone who might be struggling with the same problems that I've struggled with won't have to hit rock bottom completely like I did in order to start wanting to climb out of it. For anyone who's struggling, I want you to know that you're not alone, and even if you think nobody in the world cares about you, I can tell you that I care about you, and your life is important, you are important, and everything you're feeling and experiencing is valid. Yeah, just hang in there. Life does get better. There were so many times that I really saw no end to my pain, and I tried to end my life, and I'm really glad it didn't work, because, man, life is completely different today than it was even a year ago, and I am just so grateful that I made it this far, and I hope to make some great changes, and I'm really looking forward to being able to connect more with other people who have gone through the same types of journeys as I have, because I believe that if we all come together and share our stories, that is how we'll make the greatest change. So yeah, anyways, I'm super tired and I'm gonna go eat some nachos, so I hope everyone has a good night. Bye.